Chapter 3. Arrivals for guests with a reservation. Sometimes guests make a reservation and sometimes they do not. Even when a guest makes a reservation, you may not find it easily. At check-in it is important that we know of all the details in the reservation and make sure they are honored. In this chapter you will learn how to retrieve a reservation for a guest and how to check in a guest that has a reservation. When you click on the arrival icon on the left side, you will get the arrival screen. To retrieve a reservation for a guest who has already a reservation, you need to enter one or more letters of the family name or his first name or his company or travel agent or even the confirmation number. And if you still cannot trace the reservation, you can have more search options by clicking on Advanced. If you put the letter A, for example, in the name section and then click on Search, you will find all guest names starting with the letter A. To erase an error you may make while typing, you can press Clear. Once you find the reservation of the guest that you want to check in, click Edit on the bottom right of the screen to be able to confirm the booking information. You can also double-click on the name of the guest in the arrival confirmation screen. The reservation screen will appear. Before checking in the guest, you need to confirm the following data with the guest. The SPG membership details. Ask the guest if he is a member of the SPG loyalty program. If yes, and you don't have this information on the reservation, click on the drop-down menu next to membership type and choose SPG. Then enter his SPG number in the membership number field and finally enter his level of membership into the member level field. For the departure date is to verify the date of checkout. The number of nights is the total of nights that the guest will spend at the hotel. The number of adults and children are the amount of people that will be staying in the room. Room type is the room and bed type, for example, standard twin, standard king, deluxe or suite. RTC stands for room type charged. The room type is already assigned. If there is no room assigned for this reservation, click on the drop-down menu and the room assignment window will open. Search for inspected rooms. Those are rooms that are cleaned and checked by housekeeping. By marking a tick in the inspected field, choose the room and click on OK. There is a separate chapter on room assignments later in this module. Then verify the rate and package. This is the price of the room per night and what is included in this rate, for example, breakfast or taxes. Then reconfirm the payment method, being it cash, credit card or city ledger. If payment will be done by credit card, you will need to enter the credit card number and expiry date. And if the credit card number is already entered in the reservation, make sure that you reconfirm with the guest that this is the credit card they want to use to settle their bill upon checkout. The checkout form field is used to enter the time of the guest checkout, which you will need to reconfirm with the guest in case of a late checkout. Specials. These are guest special needs, for example, an extra blanket, high floor or fruit basket. A special is a request for a particular stay and is attached to the reservation. If you want to add a special, click on the drop-down menu button and the specials window will open. Here you can search by code if known or by description. Once found the special, mark it with an X in the field before the code and click on OK. Guest preferences could be, for example, smoking or non-smoking room and is something that a guest would like that is valid for all his stays. A preference is attached to the guest profile. To add preferences, click on the drop-down menu button again, and a new window will display. Here you can search for the preference group, like newspapers, pillows, or room type. or for the preference directly, like 2 double beds in our case. Once found the preferences, mark it with an X in the X field and click on OK. Comments can be any comments related to the guest or reservation. You need to read all comments recorded in the guest reservation. An example of a comment would be a comment from the reservations team to the front desk to collect the cover letter for payment when the guest checks in. Traces and alerts. You will need to read all the traces and alerts marked in red in the guest reservation. They appear on the bottom. A trace is a written communication between departments. For example, the front desk sends a trace to housekeeping to send an extra bath to the guest room. An alert is an information related for the guest that is sent to the department. For example, when a switchboard sends an alert to the front desk that a guest has a message to be handed over at check-in. We will see how to include traces and alerts in the next chapters. After checking all this data with the guest, you will be ready to check him in. You have 2 options in order to do so. Option 1 is to click on OK. Then you'll have a dialog box asking you to check in the guest, and click on Yes. Once that is done, the check-in process is complete, which is indicated by a new window. Then click on OK. Then you will have another dialog box asking you to print a registration card. Click on Yes to print it. Thereafter, a window will appear prompting you to issue the room keys. The fields are automatically populated by the system. However, you may make any changes required, for example, if the guest would like to have more keys. Then click on OK and enter the keys in your keycard encoder. Option 2. For this option, you need to click on Save and then on Close. You will return to the arrival screen and click on Registration Card. To print the registration card, and then press on Check-in on the icon on the right. Then the windows as in option 1 will appear. Check in the guest, click Yes, followed by the window to issue room keys, and enter the keys in the encoder. Chapter 4. Walk-ins. This is for guests without a reservation. In this chapter you will learn how to check in a walk-in guest. A walk-in is a term we use for a guest who has not made a reservation at the hotel. A walk-in guest may or may not have a profile. We learned in the reservation module that every reservation is linked to a profile. So if you're dealing with a walk-in guest, you might need to create a new profile for him or her in case there is none in the system. The walk-in function allows you to check in guests without having previously made a reservation. To check in a walk-in guest, you need to go through the front desk menu and then select the submenu Arrivals. You can also access this through the short key Alt plus the letter W. Then you need to click on the walk-in icon on the right of the screen. This will take you to the Rate Query screen. This screen is just like the reservation screen that we have covered in the reservations module. Here you need to enter arrival date. This appears by default to today's date. The nights, the number of nights required. The departure date will then appear automatically. The number of adults staying in the room and the number of children that will be staying in the room. Once you have completed the top portion of the fields, you can start with the middle part, which is the name of the guest. As soon as you type the name, the system will automatically open a profile search screen. You need to search if your guest has a profile in the system already. If it does not exist, you will need to create a new profile. See as well the reservation module, Chapter 4, Creating a New Individual Profile. If the profile does exist, select it and click OK. This will include the details in the guest profile and the reservation and automatically direct you to the Rate Query details screen. Select the room type requested by the guest. Select the rate agreed with the guest by clicking on it, and then select OK. Make sure that you select the rate that is open for sale. You may find that there is no room available or no room rate available that is agreeable to the guest, in case the guest will not make a booking at the hotel. This is called a turnaway. Turnaways is used to turn away a reservation. And noting the reason of a turnaway. The rate is too expensive, it's a no-sell or a denial. All turnaways must be recorded for statistical purposes. Score button is a function that allows you to close without saving and without using the turnaway function. When clicking on close, this screen will close in the system, and the system will ask you to enter a turnaway reason. Once you selected a rate and clicked on OK, complete the reservation of your walk-in guest as follows. Select a room by clicking on the room drop-down menu to allocate an inspected room. Once again, this is a room that is cleaned and checked by housekeeping. Choose the room and click on OK. We have another chapter on room assignment on how to do this. Indicate as well the method of payment, for example a cash or credit card or city ledger. If the payment will be done by credit card, you will need to enter the credit card number and the expiry date. The checkout time indicates the time of guest checkout, and you will need to confirm it with the guest in case of a late checkout. Choose the source from the drop-down menu. In this case, choose walk-in. This as well was covered in the reservation module. Then, enter the guest origin from the drop-down menu. Enter any special guest needs under Specials, for example an extra blanket or a high floor. If there are any guest preferences to be added in the guest profile, use the preference field, for example smoking or non-smoking room. In the comments fields you can enter any comments related to the guest. Lastly, make sure to enter the SPG number if it's not yet in the system. You will need to go through the membership type and click on the new item. Then choose SPG and enter the card number, as well as the SPG level, for example preferred gold or platinum. If the guest is not an SPG member, please try to enroll him. SPG enrollment will be covered in another chapter later this module. After confirming all this data with the guest, you will be ready to check him in. As mentioned earlier, you have two options. You can click on OK, and then you have a dialog box asking you to check in the guest. Click on Yes. Once that is done, the check-in process is complete, which is indicated by a new window. Then click on OK. Then you will have another dialog box asking you to print the registration card. Click on Yes if you want to print it. Thereafter, a window will appear prompting you to issue the room keys. The fields are automatically populated by the system, however, you may make any changes required. For example, if the guest would like to have more than one key. Then click OK and enter the keys in the keycard encoder. Like we have seen for guests with a reservation, as well for the walk-in, there is another option to check him in. For this option, you will need to click on Save and then Close. You will return to the arrival screen and click on Reg Card to print the registration card and then press Check-in on the right. Then the window as an option 1 will appear. Check in the guest, click Yes, followed by the window to issue room keys, and enter the keys in the encoder. Chapter 5